that no expert by any means on, especially weather, meteorology, and things like that. But it seems to me, and a lot of us have noticed, we've been, and it's wonderful, we've been wetter than normal for the first half of the year, it seems like. And boy, the grass is beautiful. We've seen more rain showers. It hadn't been as dry as it's been in years past, it seems like, Bill.
Well, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell you, I did a forecast before we ever got through with spring. I think it may have been coming out of winter. I don't know. But anyway, for one of the newspapers. And I always like doing that because I know somewhere in print is what I said way back then. Because most people will hear the forecast, and you'll hear so many of them. If they like you, you'll say, boy, you got that right again. Or if they're not real sure of you or what you said, they'll say, you guys never did it right. But when we were coming out of spring and headed towards summer, one thing I kept talking about was how cold the atmosphere was in the northern portion of the northern hemisphere. So we still had a huge amount of very cold air coming out of Russia, moving right around to the Aleutians or Alaska. And then when those cold lows would drop south, they would drop down to about the Gulf of Alaska and then track to the east. Well, counterclockwise circulation means those lows were getting the coldest of air north of them and wrapping it right back down into the lower 48. And then what we have been living with is a weak El Nino. That was bringing low-pressure areas in from the Pacific, and they were moisture laden. So all of a sudden, here comes a low full of water from the Pacific at your higher altitude, and we're bringing cold air down, which is heavy and comes down near Earth's surface. So then we had several things going on. The dynamics around the low are counterclockwise and up into the atmosphere. So if there's moisture there, then you've got a way to get that moisture up into the atmosphere. And as you go aloft, you cool that air by approximately 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. So it's very cold when it gets up there. That means that moisture condenses and falls. Well, now you add another trigger, and that's cold air that's heavy, laying close to the Earth's surface, pushing southward, driving right beneath that. And what it did was gave us colder air much further south, gave us a good wet, low-pressure area, and we put all that together, as well as some flow pattern off the Gulf for our low-level moisture. We have had a lot cooler temperatures, a lot more precipitation, and the only thing that I've seen wrong with it, I have noticed while the corn looked so good in central Texas early, I've noticed now that if it hasn't matured well, the bottoms of them were way too wet, and it doesn't, and some of the crops that was in too much water doesn't look that well. But cotton's looking good. We've got a lot of grass. And the other thing I'm thinking, and this is just little random thoughts I have, you know, they keep talking about the global warming and climate change and the amount of pollutants in the atmosphere. Well, the green stuff uses carbon dioxide. And I'm thinking, well, if we've got a lot more green, even though we're always cutting down trees to make a parking lot or a housing development or an apartment complex, that's one way we're taking away the very elements that take the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. But if everything's all greened up, then maybe that's a cleaning process too. So there is somebody up there keeping it.
You're talking about the corn moments ago. I also seen the same with some of the fields along the Texas Gulf Coast has been traveling down in Calhoun County. They have, and you and I kind of mentioned about that, they've received, I don't want to go back, I don't keep records, but since Hurricane Harvey, which was now, 2 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I'm not real good at remembering the dates and times of some of these storms.
Right, but you know, if you think about since that, they've been wetter than normal. And even down on that area, while these crops are looking good, I've seen some of these showers that, whether it be heat showers or showers off the Gulf or what have you, that will continue to keep, especially in that black land, similar to what you have up, in central Texas, where it just holds water. And in some of those low areas of the field, just seeing some of that, the bottom of the corn stalks They've kind of discolored and things like that. So, going back into these markets, you look at this stuff. Yeah, while the crops look good, you talk to these farmers, they'll tell you not to count what you have until it's in the bin on the truck and you've got it sold. But we'll see what happens there. But as far as and I know these guys with the Hurricane Center, they always put out these predictions. But have you seen anything different as far as when these guys are predicting this kind of stuff? Is it more or less active than normal, or is it just kind of a guess in the dark?
Well, it's if I can say this, so it doesn't sound rude, but we always have referred to forecasts as lags and flags.
Yeah, and I'm losing you again right there if you lean back in your chair. But you said you refer to these forecasts as an acronym for a wild guess. Yeah.
Yeah, a wild-ass guess and a scientific wild-ass guess.
Well,
but now some of the models have been pretty accurate, but when you're using 14 different models, you got to figure one of them is going to be pretty accurate.
Right.
So it depends on which one they go with. And if you were to read their discussion right now, they will tell you that United Kingdom, the UK Met, and the UK Met Ensemble, they're taking that cyclone to the upper Texas coast. And then their GFS, ECMWF, and Canadian models lie between those extremes. And then their other model, anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, if people want to get in touch with you, say just to write you, send money, postcards, letters, guineas, whatever, how can we get in touch with you again, Bill, and ask the weatherman?
The easiest way is that go to the PBS station that I'm on. It's knct.org. And there's a picture of me, which is just really wonderful. And you just click on Ask the Weatherman. But I also have an email address, bill.hecke, and that's Heck with an E, so Hecke with an E, or Heck with an E, and bill.hecke at sbcglobal.net.
It's always a pleasure having you on, and a pleasure catching up with you again, Bill.
Well, I do thank you, and should it look like it's going to be a little more ominous for us, touch back with me and we'll talk some more.
We'll accept that invitation. Meteorologist Bill Hecke. Thank you for joining us for Guadalupe Valley Views. I'm Egan Barthels, SoSyntex Radio News. Have a great weekend, friends.